What's up, guys? Hope you all are good. Welcome to 9-1 Football and welcome to a new series I'm starting on the channel called 8 Things to Take from the Match Week. And this one is for the Match Week 1. Thank you all for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you like the video. Arsenal could surprise everybody this season. No, I mean, that just imply that nobody expects Arsenal to do well. That's untrue, I think. Many people have been impressed by the project going on at Arsenal under Arteta and Edu. They brought in Gabriel and Willian from Chelsea, which is a really good signing, I think. Willian is a top Premier League player, consistently playing well at Chelsea, but I think the only criticism you could have of Willian is he doesn't get enough goals and assists. But he got 2 or 3, whichever you look at it. I mean, it's 2 officially because it doesn't count if you hit the keeper and assist someone, but in terms of FPL it counts. They won 3-0 at Fulham. It was a team performance. Everyone played well. Gabriel got on the score sheet. He looked very solid in defense alongside Rob Holding. There's a project going on at Arsenal under Michael Arteta. All the players seem to be on the same page, and I think they're not done with the summer business. They are gonna get in a midfielder, which would be key. They are being linked with Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid, and I think that's a really good signing for them. So they could have a very good season, get into the top 4, and more importantly, make a base to ultimately challenge for the title. Arsenal last won the title in 2004-2005. So now it's been 15 years. This could be the next Liverpool story, and they have a chance to turn that around to make sure this project heads in the right way and ultimately challenging and winning the title would be an aim. I think right now it's looking likely in 3 to 4 years they could challenge for the title if they continue this way. They might surprise you, even do it in 2 years. You never know football, but it's looking bright at Arsenal right now. Everton looked like a different side. All the 3 new signings played against Tottenham. They were all brilliant. Allen was at the base of the midfield. Allen did everything he needs to do. Broke up the play, helped defensively, started attacks, moved the ball around quickly. The other 2 midfielders in the 3 were Doucouré and Andre Gomez. Both were brilliant. Doucouré didn't get into the box as much as he does. It's his trademark, getting late into the box, but I think that'll come with time. Andre Gomez was really good considering he broke his leg against the same opposition. I think he's put that all behind. He passed the ball quickly, he played some brilliant passes, and overall he had a good game. James Rodriguez was very good. He had some absolute delightful crossfield passes, and if Richarlison had finished or passed better, I think Everton could have easily won 3-0. Overall, Everton are looking like a decent side. Defensively, they're very solid. They have a good midfield with a lot of depth, and in attack, they have spark as well as hard workers. Calvert-Lewin is a good striker. So I think their aim will be to get into the top 6 this season, and it's looking good for them. I think Everton fans should be excited. Leeds United are going to be fun to watch this season. They lost 4-3 to Liverpool, and it was only due to a penalty, but I think they gave it everything and they did challenge Liverpool right till the end, and they look like they're Premier League ready. They play what is known as the Bielsa ball, which is named after their manager. It's a high intensity football where all the players are running all through the game. Also, the players don't have a particular position. I mean, they do start off in position, but they're going all over the place, covering every single gap they can find, attacking in large numbers. I think many points in the game they had 5-6 people in Liverpool's box, which is saying something for a side which has just got promoted. So I think they look ready for the Premier League, like I said before, and it'll be fun to watch them against big teams, especially Manchester City, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and they have a game against Fulham this weekend. Fulham are obviously an opposition who know them better than most of the Premier League do, because they have come up together. So it'll be a fun match to watch, but I think Leeds will have the upper hand. Either way, I'll be rooting for Leeds to do well this season. I think it's a good team to support. It's a good story to follow. Chelsea are going to need some time to get into their best. They won 3-1, so in the end that's all matters, but they weren't at the best. Werner, I thought, was very positive. Havertz couldn't really get into the game, but he was out of position and apparently it's just trained for 4 days. So you could see it's going to take some time. They also had several players out. I think Hakim Ziyech is an important part. Ben Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Christian Pulisic. And when these players come back and they have played with each other for a while, this attack could be scary. And the positive Chelsea fans could take from yesterday's game was, I think, the centre-back partnership. Zuma and Christensen were laying claim to that spot alongside Thiago Silva, and they were both brilliant. I think Christensen stood out. This was the Christensen which was promised back when Antonio Conte was in charge. I think the Chelsea fan base was very excited to see the team play. Obviously, they've spent so much money, but I think they need to wait some more time for them to get into full gear. They haven't had much of a pre-season. I think Frank Lampard said that they had quarantine for some players and they just trained as a whole team for 4 days. Still haven't had Thiago Silva train with them. So it will get better, but this is an exciting project again. Things looking quite rosy at Chelsea. Could they challenge for the title? Do they have an outside chance at the title? Only time will tell what happens. For now, all we can do is wait and see. New season, same old names. The first match we had a lot of familiar scorers across the games. Mohamed Salah got a hat-trick. Salah has been consistently performing ever since he joined Liverpool. Been at least top 3 players in the Premier League ever since. He got a hat-trick. 2 of them were penalties, but penalties are not as easy as football media makes them to be. Many players miss penalties, and to score 2 in a game, it's always harder. And his final goal was absolutely insane goal. Tight angle, half volley straight into the top corner. Keeper had no chance, according to me. Then we had Aubameyang scoring for Arsenal, another familiar name, 22 goals last 2 seasons. I think the fact that he signed a new Arsenal contract, it's very big for Arsenal. Then we had Raul Jimenez score, and again he's been one of those consistent players, been doing it ever since he joined Wolves, ever since Wolves came to the Premier League, and I think he'll continue doing it. It'll be a continuous theme this season, Raul Jimenez scoring. Then we had Jamie Vardy scored 2 penalties, another name, last year's top scorer. And it's again 2 penalties, but like I said, penalties are not as easy as football media makes it to be. So I think these names will continue to dominate the charts. Could a new name be added? I am thinking Timo Werner from Chelsea could. We'll have to wait and see. Spurs and West Ham need to do better. Out of all the teams, they had the worst weekends, not in terms of score lines, but in terms of the feeling around the clubs. But I think it's going to change for Spurs because they're getting in Reguilon. They might get in Gareth Bale, which will be very good for them and the player. And Jose Mourinho has always done really well in his second season, always won a title. I think they'll at least win a cup this season, but they need to somehow get rid of that negativity around the club that's there. I think the fans need to sort of go and support the club. I do understand it did look like the players were not interested, but I think you could also point out that they didn't have much of a pre-season. So hopefully for Spurs that players are interested, they enjoy their game. Mourinho knows what he's doing. They get in a few players, and you never know, you could go top 4. They have a team to go top 4. They still have one of England's best strikers, Harry Kane. They have Dele Alli, they have Son Heung-min, they brought in Højbjerg, Doherty, they have Lloris, who's a decent keeper. So they do have a good team. If Gareth Bale comes in and Sergio Reguilon on the left back, I think it'll be a good team which could get into the top 4, and the top 4 race this year is going to be interesting. Feedback for West Ham, I think the fans and the club are not connected as they should be. The fans obviously want their owners out. GSB out is a common hashtag going around on Twitter. They've recently sold a very exciting young talent, Diangana, to West Brom. Even the captain Mark Noble wasn't happy, and he was pretty straight about it on Twitter. And they might lose Rice to Chelsea. It is looking unlikely at this point, but if they lose Rice to Chelsea, I think it'll be very hard for the club to connect with their fans, and it's a great club with great history. So I really do hope they can turn it around. I mean, they were playing pretty decent end of last season. I remember Antonio scored 4 goals, so they do have decent players. Maybe they can turn it around. It's just the first match week. We shouldn't read too much into it. I think fans could get behind the club. I'm pretty sure the fans will find it very hard to get behind their owners, but they don't need to get behind their owners. Just support the players and maybe create some positivity around the club. And you never know. Could have a decent season. It's still just match week 1. All the 3 newly promoted sides conceded about 3 goals. Leeds lost 4-3 to Liverpool. Obviously, they're facing one of the best attacks in the country against the best players in the country, so you could sort of give it to them. But the fact is, they are suffering from letting go their best centre back, was Ben White, who's gone back to Brighton and signed a new contract there. And now they've brought in Robin Koch, who I don't think has still got used to the system, and he didn't look exactly at home, but I think he'll get better as the days go. And you would expect someone like Bielsa to improve his defense, so it's gonna get better for them. In the case of Fulham, I think they were the worst of the 3 newly promoted sides. They conceded 3 goals to Arsenal, and I think the defenders were clearly at fault for a couple of goals, especially the Gabriel goal where Michael Hector should have been covering him, but it was very bad man marking and they paid for it. They are being linked to a centre back, so maybe they could get someone in before the transfer window closes, so that'll be good for them. West Brom conceded 3 to Leicester, and I think the scoreline doesn't tell the full story. In much of the first half, they were the better team, they kept the ball well, but I think the problem for them there was that their main attacking threats, Diangana and Matthias Pereira, both received the ball too close to their own pitch, and they couldn't really affect the play in the final third. In the second half, they conceded 2 penalties and they got punished for it. But they have brought in Branislav Ivanovic, who's the former Chelsea player, who's also won the Champions League with them. And the thing is, Ivanovic has now switched to centre back, so I think the defense will get better with experience. Even if Ivanovic doesn't play, the experience he brings will obviously rub off on these players and will help them. You can obviously judge teams on the first match week. I think you have to wait at least 8 to 10 game weeks, but I thought it was a point to note that all the 3 teams conceded 3 goals or above, but I guess the defenses will improve as the days go on. Much needed changes for VAR. A clear change from last season in the first match day, which we saw, was assistant referees raising the flag only after the attacking threat is over. This is in line with what FIFA does, and this is a change that was brought about this year. This is because let's say a team is attacking and the referee raises the flag. If a defender sees this flag, he's gonna let it. Now let's say if the team goes on to score and VAR check means there is no offside, it's unfair from the defending team because the defender has seen the flag and he is obviously let up, he's stopped, and which might have led to the goal. So this is a good change. I think it's a much needed change, and I think last year I was quite irritated sometimes that they were raising the flag before the attacking threat was over. Now they've made clarified, and it's a good decision. Another change which was brought about is regarding to the referee review area. The Premier League have said, and I quote, increased use of RRA, which is the referee review area, which will be used for subjective decisions in 3 key areas: goals, red cards and penalty kicks. This is a screen which is on the field. It was used in the 2018 World Cup. It's used in many other leagues across the world, and it's a much needed change, honestly, because last year there was this whole mess about clear and obvious. How wrong does a referee need to be for his decision to be changed? Clear and obvious does anything but make it clear and obvious. I think it's a very grey area, and I think last year there were many decisions which were kind of hard to take for many teams, and I think most people were not impressed with VAR. So what this referee review area does is, say a referee's made a mistake, or the people sitting at VAR center think that the referee's made a mistake, they can ask him to go up to the screen. If the referee sees something which he hasn't seen in the real time, then he could change his decision. But if he sees the same things and he still feels that, okay, I've seen all this but it's still not enough, to change my decision, so then you can stick to it. So this makes it a whole lot better, and I think it's much needed. Mm, there were three other changes. The one was to do with goalkeepers during a penalty. VAR can be used if they lift their feet off the line before the kick is taken. They can't jump forward, reducing the angle. And the other is also with penalty, but to do with players who stand outside the box. If they cross the line, VAR can be used. And the third one is offside does not allow tolerance levels. It's given, it's either offside or it's not. So yeah, these are the changes, and I think they're much needed. Hopefully it works out this year and it's not as much as a disaster as it was last year.